Let me mute everybody. Oh, it's very good. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let me just send a notice out. And check to see if we are online with Facebook. Yes, we are online. Thank God. Okay, everything seems to be working for now. All right, so we will chant the Damodar Ashtaka prayers. Right. Namam Vishwaram Sachit Anandurupam Lasatgunalam Gokule Rajamanam Yasodavi Yolukalat Davamanam Param Dam Chanta Guru Chikopya Rudantamu Urnitra Yuvam Rishanta Tarambucha Yumena Satankanetram Mokusashakam Bhaktile Kantakanda Sita Damodaram Bhaktivadam Iti Drutsva Lilamir Ananda Kune Swagochami Majantam Yabayantam Nadi Yeshita Geshu Bhaktadi Tatvam Punakrema Dastam Jagav Mande Varam Deva Moksham Na Mokshavadima Nachanim Pranayam Varesha Apiha Tripatris Tigris Tate Namatano Grahaneshama Madhya Medasi Trisha Kuveratma Jovana Mujaiva Yadma Dwayamachita Omate Vajakritocha Tata Prema Patim Swat Kame Priyaja Namo Shri Guru Mesi Damodareya Namaste Sudhamne Sudhandipinamne Twadiyodoraya Thana Vishwasaramne Namo Radhikaya Jutiya Priyaya Namo Nandalilaya Devaya Tugam Namo Vishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupa Nasadkundam Gokule Jamanam Yasodamiyo Lukana Dapamanam Paramdamat Yandato Suchikuya Jairat Namuna Rana Davanapurante Yukrat Davanarana Damunarana Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhacharya Also Tada Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Sabaya Chalana the Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Garadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath, Saim Kund Radhakunda, Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Mathuram Ki Jai, Jagadata Sami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Premananda Hari Haribol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Sringavadi Paschati Deja Tarani Prabhupada Ki Jai. So read the translation. To the Supreme Controller who possesses an eternal form of blissful knowledge, whose glistening earrings swing to and fro, who manifested himself in Gokula, who stole the butter that the gopis kept hanging from the rafters of their storerooms, and then quickly jumped up and ran in retreat in fear of Mother Yashoda, but was ultimately caught, to that Supreme Lord Sri Damodar I offer my humble obeisances. Upon seeing his mother's whipping stick, he cried and rubbed his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes were fearful and his breathing quick, and his Mother Yashoda bound his belly with ropes. He shivered in fright, and his pearl necklace shook. To the Supreme Lord Sri Damodar, who was bound by his devotees' love, I offer my humble obeisances. Those super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna's babyhood drown the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy. To the devotees who are attracted only to his majestic aspect of Narayan and Vaikuntha, the Lord herein reveals, I am conquered and overwhelmed by pure loving devotion. To the Supreme Lord Damodar, my obeisances hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, Although you were able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for liberation, nor eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon. My only prayer is that your childhood pastimes may constantly appear in my mind. O Lord, I do not even want to know your feature of Paramatma. I simply wish that your childhood pastimes may ever be enacted in my heart. O lower the cheeks of your blackish lotus face, which is encircled by locks of curling hair, have become reddened like bimba fruit due to Mother Yashoda's kisses. What more can I describe than this? Millions of opulences are of no use to me, but may this vision constantly remain in my mind. O unlimited Vishnu, O Master, O Lord, be pleased upon me. I am drowning in an ocean of sorrow, almost like a dead man. Please shower the rain of mercy upon me, uplift me, and protect me with your nectarian vision. O Lord Damodar, in your form as a baby, Mother Yashoda bound you to a grinding stone with a rope for tying cows. You then freed the sons of Kuvera, Manigriva, and Nalakuvara, who were cursed to stand as trees, and you gave them the chance to become your devotees. Please bless me in the same way. I have no desire for liberation into your effulgence. O Lord, the entire universe was created by Lord Brahma, who was born from your abdomen, which was bound with a rope by Mother Yashoda. To this rope I offer my humble obeisances. I offer my obeisances to your most beloved Srimati Radharani and to your unlimited pastimes. Jai. Lord Damodar ki jai. Just one announcement. Tomorrow we'll have a class at the regular time. No problem with that. But I may not be able to do classes over the weekend because I'm going to be in Mexico. And we have a Rath Yatra in the city of Guadalajara, Mexico. And I haven't seen many of my disciples there for 2 years or even more because of this COVID situation. So anyway, I will be going to Mexico by Krishna's grace, if Krishna desires, on Friday and coming back on Monday. And then the following Tuesday, of course, for you in Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, it means a day later. It means that I am going on Friday, which means Saturday, coming back on Monday, which means Tuesday. Anyway, we'll figure it out. And then after that, I go to New Orleans, and I'll try to continue the classes there in New Orleans. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. Now we're going to go to the Caitanya Caritamrta. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Okay, it's from text 98 and the 18th chapter of the Madhya Lila, reading about something very interesting, because it's all very interesting. But this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interacting with the devotees who thought they were seeing Krishna dancing on the heads of the Kaliya serpent, but they actually weren't. We'll find out what they were seeing. And this shows how one can be an illusion and think they are seeing something, when in actuality, they are not seeing something. Okay. Mahaprabhu deki sacha Krishna darashana Nija jane sachakchari asache sachavarma. Means Brahma, means illusion. It's not Brahma, it's Brahma. When the people saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they actually saw Krishna. But because they were following their own imperfect knowledge, they accepted the wrong thing as Krishna. So in other words, the people were thinking that Krishna was dancing on the heads of the Kaliya serpent in the Yamuna River. And it wasn't actually Krishna, it was something else. But we're going to find out in a few minutes what it was. And they said that we are seeing Krishna. And actually it was the truth. They were seeing Krishna because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Mahayanya. There's no difference between uh, Radha and Krishna. No difference between. Sorry about this. Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna as one. Okay, so anyway, so let's. Anyway, they accepted the wrong thing as Krishna, and we'll find out what that wrong thing is. But the Charya Tabe Kai Prabhura Charane Ogdadeha Yai Kari Krishna Kari Krishna Darashane. At that time, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was Lord Chaitanya's servant, placed a request at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, please give me permission to go see Lord Krishna directly. So remember, Balabhadra Bhattacharya was Lord Chaitanya's servant, and he was seeing Krishna directly every day. And then he's asking Krishna to go see him directly, but actually what he was going to see was not Krishna. Okay, so let's read the purport. The puzzled people who visited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were actually seeing Lord Krishna, but they were mistaken in thinking that Lord Krishna had come to the Kaliya lake. They all said that they had seen Krishna directly performing his pastimes on the hoods of the serpent Kaliya, and that the jewels on the Kaliya's hoods were blazing brilliantly. Because they were speculating with their imperfect knowledge, they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary human being and a boatman's light in the lake as Krishna. There's the explanation. One must see things as they are through the mercy of the spiritual master. Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna or Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of the Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. A sincere person is able to see Krishna through the transparent via medium of Sri Gurudev, the spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kaliya Daha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. I was going to say something about this. Oh yeah, funny story about myself. That's what I was going to talk about. One time, I was at Govardhan, and I thought that was hearing Krishna playing his flute. I was in ecstasy. So I was listening. I was in my room at my house in Govardhan, and I was listening, and I was hearing the most beautiful flute song. And I was thinking, oh, now I've achieved Krishna consciousness. But then, after talking to some devotees, they said, this is just coming out of the speakers that are all over this particular location where we were living. It's just the speaker, just some mundane guy, or maybe a devotee, playing his flute. And I was very disappointed. So I thought that a mundane or devotee flute playing was actually Krishna's flute playing. So this happens. This is because we make mistakes. We have a tendency to cheat. We have imperfect senses, and we are in illusion. The 4 defects of the conditioned soul, right? Remember that. Conditioned soul makes mistakes. He's illusioned, right? He has imperfect senses, and the conditioned soul cheats. So remember that. That's actually really important when we're explaining basic Krishna consciousness to people. These are defects of the conditioned soul. And I was actually thinking about that, reading a book last night, in the middle of the night, about cellular biology. Oh my God. Reading a book about cellular biology in the middle of the night. So anyway, so I was reading a book, and there was one man who claimed that he had created life from scratch. But actually, what he did is he took things that were already existing and combined them. He could not create life. So this is the cheating propensity. And then people believed him. They cheered him. They said, oh, you have done it. But actually, he didn't do anything. And plus, he had the help of so many supercomputers, chemical laboratories. And after this whole so-called creation of life, one-celled creature, he said, I'm trying to remember Apiogenesis. Yeah, that was the point. That is actually the technical word. Apiogenesis. He claims that this proves that life comes from matter. Well, it proves that using intelligence you can put things together. It proves that life was put together by someone who was intelligent, much more intelligent than you rascal. So, people are just fooled. People are just so stupid. I just get upset by seeing how stupid people are. Anyway, Tabe Tanre, even so-called scientists, how stupid they are. And just like, I mean, for example, like the science, so-called science of archaeology, anthropology, all these different sciences, and Darwin's theory of evolution. It's not science. They haven't observed it. They're just speculating based upon what they think happened, but with no evidence that it could possibly happen. They're actually coming to a conclusion. Why are they coming to a conclusion? Because they have this particular lens by which they examine their scientific data. What is that lens? Methodological materialism, atheism, empiricism, whatever you want to call it. In other words, they approach every single discovery, at least in biology, with the axiom, they consider an axiom, with a predetermined conclusion that there's no God. So even if it makes sense that God did things, or there is a God, or logically there had to be a designer, let's talk about designer, they don't accept it because they've actually come to their scientific experiments with that preordained conclusion. In other words, they're saying, okay, there's no God, so how else did life come about? Didn't come about through design. No. It came about through chance. There's no God. The only other thing was chance. Anyway, this is the cheating propensity, illusion propensity. Well, in perfect senses, maybe. So it's not really science. This material science, whether you're talking about anthropology, archaeology, Darwinian evolution, is not science. They can give a name to it, saying science. But, really, material science means mathematics and observation. And like, if I say, that using mathematics and observing things, I can understand that there are 9 million different entities within a cell. 9 billion, sorry. I got that off. Then that's a scientific observation. If you can use your... Actually, there's many more, because we're not counting the subatomic entities. Anyway, so this is the point about cheating propensity, illusion propensity. Tabe tanre, kai prabhu chapada Madhya, murkera vakye murka haila pandita hana. When Balabhadra Bhattacharya asked to see Krishna at Kaliya Dalhall, that means where the Kaliya serpent was chastised, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mercifully slapped him, saying, "You are a learned scholar, but you have become a fool, being influenced by the statements of other fools." So Prabhupada comments that Maya is so strong that even a person like Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was constantly staying with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was influenced by the words of fools. He wanted to see Krishna directly by going to Kaliya Dalha. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, being the original spiritual master, would not allow his servant to fall into such foolishness. He therefore chastised him, slapping him, just to bring him to a real sense of Krishna consciousness. So this is an interesting point, that if one is even physically, I won't say physically, but associating with the Supreme Lord face to face, one can still be in Maya. Wow. Even if one is very intelligent. And another story that proves this point is the story of Krishnadas, who Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on his South India tour with. And Krishnadas got lured by these gypsies, the Bhattacharys, sorry. And they lured him into illicit life. Oh my God. So this proves the point that even you can be physically with God, pure devotee, and you can be still in abject maya or illusion. Because the way we stay out of illusion is hearing. Shru Shro, Shradanasha, Vasudeva Kata Ruchi, Shan Mahatsevya, Vipra, Punya Tirtha Nashevana. Here's another one. Krishna Kene Darashana Dive Kali Kale, Nijabrame Morka Loka, Kare Kula Hale. Why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken or simply causing agitation and making a tumult. In other words, Krishna does not appear to our vision in the age of Kali. I mean, sometimes specifically, let's say with the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, Krishna does something, but not to ordinary persons. That's a special appearance. And certainly he's not going to dance on the heads of the Kaliya serpent in the age of Kali, because the Kaliya serpent is in Fiji. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first statement, Krishna Kene Darashana Dive Kali Kale, refers to the scriptures. According to the scripture, Krishna appears in Dwapara Yuga, but he never appears as himself in Kali Yuga. Rather, he appears in Kali Yuga in a covered form, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam. Krishna appears in the age of Kali in the garb of a devotee. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who always associates with his internal soldiers, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Srivas Prabhu, and Gadadhar Pandit. Although Balabhadra Bhattacharya was personally serving Lord Krishna in his role as a devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he mistook Lord Krishna for an ordinary man and an ordinary man for Lord Krishna because he did not follow the rules set down by Shastra and Guru. So that's another important point. There's this statement, Shastra Chakshush. Shastra Chakshush means we see through the eyes of Shastra. So, for example, if I was to go to Vrindavan and see Krishna, or think I was seeing Krishna dancing with the gopis, I would understand I'm an illusion. I have some psychological problems. But because I would look at it through Shastra, Krishna's not going to appear like that. So one has to actually examine things. This is called Buddhi Yoga, intelligence yoga, where one examines things and ascertains the truth of something by his or her examination. So, Vatula Nahayo Gari Rahata Vasya Krishna Darashana Kariha Kaliratrayana. Do not become mad. This is Lord Chaitanya speaking to Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Simply sit down here and tomorrow night you will go see Krishna. Ratakale Bhavya Loka Prabhustane Hila Krishna Deki Haila Prabhu Tanhare Puchila. The next morning, some respectable gentlemen came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord asked them, "Have you seen Krishna?" Lokakai Ratre Kaivarcha No Kate Chadiya Kaliyadahi Matsamare Duti Jwaliya. These respectable gentlemen replied, "At night in Kaliya Lake, a fisherman lights a torch in his boat and catches many fish. Durahaite tahadeki lokerahaya brahma kaliyera sharire Krishna kariche nartana." From a distance, people mistakenly think that they are seeing Krishna dancing on the body of the Kaliya serpent. No kate Kaliya Gyana Dipe Ratna Gyane Jaliyare muda loka Krishna kari mane. These fools think that the boat is the Kaliya serpent and the torchlight the jewels on his hoods. People also mistake the fisherman for Krishna. Vrindavane Krishna hoila, say Satya hoya, Krishna re dekila loka, iha mitya naya. Actually, Lord Krishna has returned to Vrindavan. That is the truth, and it is also true that people have seen him. Kintu kahon Krishna deke, kahon Brahma mane, stano purushe aiche, viparhita jnane. But where they are seeing Krishna is their mistake. It is like considering a dry tree to be a person. The word stano means a dry tree without leaves. From a distance, one may mistake such a tree for a person. This is called stanu purusha. It means tree person, or something that stands still person. Although Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was living in Vrindavan, the inhabitants considered him an ordinary human being, and they mistook the fisherman to be Krishna. Every human being is prone to make such mistakes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was mistaken for an ordinary sannyasi. The fisherman was mistaken for Krishna, and the torchlight was mistaken for bright jewels on the Kaliya's hoods. Prabhu Kai Kahan Baila Krishna Darashana Loka Kai Sannyasi Tume Jangama Narayana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked them, "Where have you seen Krishna directly?" The people replied, "You are a sannyasi renunciant, therefore you are a moving Narayana, Jangama Narayana." So, they were Mayavadis. This is the viewpoint of Mayavad philosophy. Mayavadi philosophy supports the impersonalist view that Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no form. One can imagine the impersonal Brahman in any form as Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Vivaswan, the sun god, Ganesh, or Devi Durga. According to the Mayavad philosophy, when one becomes a sannyasi, he is to be considered a moving Narayan. Wow, if I was a Mayavadi, I'd be a moving Narayan. I don't feel like it. If I was a moving Narayan, I could do a lot more than I'm doing now. Mayavadi philosophy holds that the real Narayan does not move because being impersonal, he has no legs. Thus, according to Mayavad philosophy, whoever becomes a sannyasi declares himself Narayan. Foolish people accept such ordinary human beings as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Vivarta Vada, means illusion. And they refer, sannyasis, when they greet each other, they say to each other, Om Namo Narayanaya. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that Jangama Narayana means that the impersonal Brahman takes the shape and moves here and there in the form of a Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavadi philosophy, Mayavada, confirms this. Danda Grahana Matrena Naro Narayano Bhavet. Simply by accepting the danda of the order of sannyas, one is immediately transformed into Narayan. Wow! Let me try it! Hold on a second. Here's my danda. See? Now I've become Narayan. Isn't that great? Okay, as Narayan, I'm going to do all sorts of things. Anyway, didn't work. It didn't work. I took a danda and I wasn't transformed into Narayan. Therefore, Mayavadi sannyasis address one another by saying, Om Namo Narayanaya. In this way, one Narayan worships another Narayan. Actually, an ordinary human being cannot become Narayan. As the chief Mayavadi sannyasi, Sri Shankaracharya, says, Narayana Paro Vyaktat. Narayana is not a creation of this material world. Narayana is above the material creation. Due to their poor fund of knowledge, Mayavadi sannyasis think that Narayan, the absolute truth, takes birth as a human being, and that when he realizes this, he becomes Narayan again. Why didn't it work for me? It's such a stupid philosophy. They never consider why Narayan, the Supreme Personality of God, would accept an inferior position as a human being, and then again become Narayan when he is perfect. Yeah, why would Narayan appear as me? I mean, that's a stupid idea. Why would Narayan be imperfect? Why should he appear as a human being? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely explained these points while at Vrindavan. Alrighty. Vrindavane Haila Tumi Krishna Vatara Tomadeki Sarvaloka Haila Nishtara. The people then said, "You have appeared in Vrindavan as an incarnation of Krishna. Just by seeing you, everyone is now liberated." Prabhukaya Vishnu, Vishnu, Ihana Kahiva, Jivadhame Krishna Gyana, Kabuna Kahiva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately exclaimed, "Vishnu, Vishnu, do not call me the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Jiva cannot become Krishna at any time. Do not even say such a thing." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately stated that a living being, however exalted he may be, should never be compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's preaching protests the monistic philosophy of the Mayavad school. The central point of Krishna consciousness is that the Jiva, the living entity, can never be accepted as Krishna or Vishnu. This viewpoint is elaborated in the following verses. Sannyasi chitkana jiva kirana kana sama Sadaishvara Purna Krishna Haya Suryopama. A sannyasi in the renounced order is certainly part and parcel of the complete whole, just as a shiny molecular particle of sunshine is part and parcel of the sun itself. Krishna is like the sun, full of six opulences, but the living entity is only a fragment of the complete whole. Jiva Ishvara Tattva Kabunahi Sama Dvaladagni Aiche Spulingera Kana. A living entity and the absolute personality of Godhead are never to be considered equal, just as a fragmental spark can never be considered the original flame. That makes sense. Mayavadi sannyasis consider themselves Brahman, and they superficially speak of themselves as Narayan. The monistic disciples of the Mayavad school, known as Smarta Brahmanas. Smarta means ritualistic Brahmanas, are generally household Brahmanas who accept the Mayavadi sannyasis as Narayan incarnate. Therefore, they offer their obeisances to them. Maybe I should become a Mayavadi sannyasi, so these Brahmanas would offer obeisances to me and serve me. That's a nice strategy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately protested this unauthorized system, specifically mentioning that a sannyasi is nothing but a fragmental portion of the Supreme Chit Kana Jiva. In other words, he is nothing more than an ordinary living being. What a disappointment. He is never Narayan, just as a molecular portion of sunshine is never the sun itself. The living entity is nothing but a fragmental part of the absolute truth. Therefore, at no stage of perfection can the living entity become the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Mayavada viewpoint is always condemned by the Vaishnava school. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself protested this philosophy. When the Mayavadis accept sannyas and consider themselves Narayan, they become so puffed up, it means proud, that they do not even enter the temple of Narayan to offer respects, for they falsely think themselves Narayan himself. This is so stupid that they like that. Can you imagine? I'm not going to the temple. I'm God. I should worship myself. Ahangropasana. Although Mayavadi sannyasis may offer respects to other sannyasis and address them as Narayan, they do not go to a Narayan temple and offer respects. These Mayavad sannyasis are always condemned and are described as demons. The Vedas clearly state that living entities are subordinate parts and parcel of the Supreme. Eko Bohanam Yo Vidadati Kama. That's from that famous verse. Nitya Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitanam. Ego Bohanam Yo Vidadati. Come on. There are many eternals. There's one Supreme Eternal, and the Supreme Eternal is maintaining the plural eternals. The Supreme Being, Krishna, maintains all living entities. A really important point to understand. And you may think, oh, we're not in India. There's no Mayavadi sannyasis running around declaring themselves to be God. But I guess I got news for you. That a lot of the philosophy of religionists, yoga people, is Mayavad philosophy. It's poisonous. Ladinya Samvid Ashlishta Sachidananda Ishvara Swavidya Samrito Jiva Sanklesha Nikara Karaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead The supreme controller is always full of transcendental bliss and is accompanied by the potencies known as Ladini and Samvit. The conditioned soul, however, is always covered by ignorance and embarrassed by the threefold miseries of life. Thus, he is a treasure house of all kinds of tribulations. Tell me all about it. This could not be further. This is so close to the truth. Sorry, this is so close to the truth that it's unbelievable. Living entities were subject to so many kinds of tribulations. Ignorance, embarrassed by the threefold miseries of life, Adhyatmik, Adhibodic, and Adhidaivik. All right. Ye mudakai jiva ishvaraya sama seta pasandi hoya dande kareyama. A foolish person who says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the same as the living entity is an atheist, and he becomes subject to punishment by the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that the word Pashandi refers to one who considers the living entity under the control of the illusory energy to be equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental all material qualities. Another kind of Pashandi is one who does not believe in the spirit soul, the superior potency of the Lord, and therefore does not distinguish between spirit and matter. While describing one of the offenses against chanting the holy name, specifically the offense called Shruti Shastra Nindana, blasphemy in the Vedic literature, Jiva Goswami states in his Bhakti Sandarbha, Yata Pashanda Margena Adhatatrayar Shava Devo Apaksakanam Pashandinam. Worshippers of impersonalists like Dattatreya are also Pashandis. Concerning the offense of Aham Vama Buddhi or Dehatma Buddhi, considering the body to be the self, Jiva Goswami states, Deva Dravinadi Nimitaka Pasanda Shobhina Cha Dasha Purada Eva Lakshante Pashanda Mayatvat Hisham. Those who are overly absorbed in the conception of the body and the bodily necessities are also called Pashandis. Elsewhere in the Bhakti Sandarbha, it is stated. So Pashandi means like an atheist, fool, rascal. All those combined in one. Odisha Devata Eva Juhoti Cha Dadati Cha Sa Pashanditi Vigyeya Swatantro Vyapi Karmashu. A Pashandi is one who considers the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be one. Therefore, a Pashandi worships any kind of demigod as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who disobeys the orders of the spiritual master is also considered a Pashandi. The word Pashandi has been described in many places in the Srimad Bhagavatam, including 4.2, 28.30, and 32.5, 6, 9, and 12.2, 13, and 3.43. On the whole, a Pashandi is a non-devotee who does not accept the Vedic conclusions. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas 117, there is a verse quoted from the Padma Purana describing the Pashandi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this verse as the following text. Now let's see if I can guess what verse it is. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivata Smitvaneva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavetrupam. Let's see if I'm right. I am right. I passed the Bhakti Shastra test. That's actually Bhakti by Bhava. Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahma Rudradi Daivatai Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhavetrupam. A person who considers demigods like Brahma and Shiva to be an equal level with Narayan is to be considered an offender or Pashandi. Now, in the early days, right after I took sannyas, this was actually one of my favorite verses when I would go to Hindu temples to preach to people. And it really wasn't sensitive to people's needs to use this particular verse. I would give a lecture, and there'd be all these different deities on different altars, and I would quote this verse, and it says, Bashandi, if you think these deities are equal to Narayan. And after a while, I didn't get invited back for a while. And even when I got invited back, my host would always tell me before, please do not use that verse. Please be very sensitive. Please talk about yatoma tatopat. I'm okay, you're okay. No. Prabhupada said, we can say, I'm okay, you're not okay. So, but anyway, one has to use some discretion when going into a place. Don't be like I was when I was a kid, sannyasi. When I was a kid, Narayan. Loka kahi tomate kabu nahi jivamati Krishnara sadrisha tamara kriti prakriti. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained the difference between an ordinary living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the people said, no one considers you an ordinary human being. You are like Krishna in every respect, in both bodily features and characteristics. Akritye tamare deki brajendra nandana deha kanti vitambara kaila achadana. By your bodily features, we can see that you are none other than the son of Nanda Maharaj, although the golden luster of your body has covered your original complexion. In other words, they were understanding Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Mrigamada vastrivande tabuna lukhaya ishvara svabhava tamara daka nahi yaiha. As the aroma of deer musk cannot be concealed by wrapping it in a cloth, your characteristics as the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be concealed by any means. Alokika prakriti tomara buddhiya gochara Toma deki Krishna preme jagat pagala. Indeed, your characteristics are uncommon and beyond the imagination of an ordinary living being. Simply by seeing you, the entire universe becomes mad with ecstatic love for Krishna. You just see Lord Chaitanya, even the deity of Lord Chaitanya, because the deity is not different than Lord Chaitanya, become mad with ecstatic love for Krishna. I remember when I saw Prabhupada, I became mad with ecstatic love for Krishna. Sri Valabrahara Chandala Yavana Ye Tumare Kapara Paya Darashana Krishna Namalaya Nache Ana Unmata Acharya Ila Se Tarila Jagata. If they see you just once, even women, children, old men, meat eaters, and members of the lowest caste immediately chant the holy name of Krishna, dance like madmen, and become spiritual masters capable of delivering the whole world. Wow, just by seeing Lord Chaitanya once. Darshanera karya achuka ye tumara nama shune say Krishna preme mata tare tribhuvane. Apart from seeing you, whoever listens to your holy name is made mad with ecstatic love for Krishna and is able to deliver the three worlds. Wow. Tamara nama shuni hayas chapacha pavana olokika shakti tamara nayaya katana. Simply by hearing your holy name, dog eaters become holy saints. Wow. Your uncommon potencies cannot be described in words. Caitanya Mahaprabhu Gauranga. Of course, I don't think I'm a holy saint. Yannamadeya Shabananu Kirtanad Yat Pravanad Yat Smaranad Api Kochit Shvadopi Sadya Savanaya Kupate Kutaspunaste Bhagavan Nudarshanat. To say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person face to face, even a person born in a family of dog eaters becomes immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Wow! What a verse. For an explanation of this verse, of course, for the Srimad Bhagavatam 3:33-6, see Madhya Lila chapter 16, text 186. In other words, Srila Prabhupada already gave an explanation. Eta mahima tamara tatashta lakshana swarupa lakshane tumi brajendra nandana. These glories of yours are only marginal. Originally, you are the son of Maharaj Nanda. Okay, and we're going to end with this particular verse. The original characteristics of a substance are called swarupa, and the subsequent corollaries are called tatashta lakshana, or marginal characteristics. The glories of the Lord's marginal characteristics prove him to be the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Nanda. As soon as one understands this, one accepts Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So, today we went up to text 126. 126. Okay, that is good. Okay, so now we are going to stop sharing, and then we're going to allow different devotees to. Hold on a second. I need to. Hold on a second. Okay. Allow you to unmute yourselves. Give me 1 second. One secondito. This computer's a little slow. I don't know. Just the last few days, it's thrown a fit. Okay, Krishna Priya, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Jai Gurudev, accept my obeisances. So when we first started reading, we read about how there were those people that were foolish and they mistook the boat person for being Krishna. And then the so-called intelligent person came, but he actually was a Mayavadi. So I was reflecting and wanted your feedback. Can we say that those foolish people that mistook, looked at the fisherman and thought it was Krishna, still they were thinking that Krishna had a personal form. So they were actually better situated than the intelligent Mayavadi?
Yeah, I would say that, but also the Mayavadi woke up after Lord Chaitanya gave them some philosophy, if you read the narration.
Right. But in the
So he
beginning.
was freezing.
You
He actually
froze.
came to his senses. He came to his senses.
Right. So he came to his senses because he heard.
Yeah, exactamente. Because he
But if
heard
he
from Lord.
hadn't come, he heard from Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah.
But if he hadn't come to his senses, like let's say it was just someone who refused to hear, then would the foolish people be better off?
Uh,
Oh, you're
just someone
frozen.
who refused to hear that. Yeah, somehow or this thing keeps freezing. The foolish people would actually be better than Mayavadis. That's right. Yeah,
Then
it's better to be a fool than be a so-called intelligent Mayavadi.
then my other point question was from what you just said now, like when we read on, because he heard from Lord Chaitanya, then he became convinced. So is that the point that you keep bringing up, like, and when you told on the appearance of the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, how he wanted, instead of going to see the deity, he wanted to hear from Bhaktisiddhanta. So does that all relate the importance of actually how we have to hear? That's the only way we'll know Krishna is to hear through the guru.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, we
I,
lost you.
yeah, we lost you. We lost me. I lost myself too. So anyway, okay, so yeah, that's a good question. All right, so who else has a question? Govardhan Giriraj is the best devotee. Giriraj is a Krishna name, yes. That's good. Hold on a second. This computer is giving me some headaches, and maybe I have to load a new version of Zoom up because I haven't upgraded Zoom for a while. So it just happens in Zoom. So, who else has a question or a comment or whatever? No one else has a question. No
Hare
other
Krishna, Guru
questions.
Maharaj. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yeah, Jaradika, you can ask a question.
Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances to your glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Uh, all
Um,
glories, bro.
Thank you. I was actually thinking, just meditating this morning class. I was listening as well on Canto 3. So I was thinking, we just read about how, Maya is so powerful and um, like even like devotees with Krishna can fall victim of this illusory energy as well. So I was actually thinking, because today we read about how Krishna assured Brahma to that go do devotional service and you won't fall prey to the illusory energy. So, and then it was just up till there. And then I actually started thinking how, like, later, Brahma did fall prey to illusory energy, the daughter. And then also I was thinking that, okay, Indra does fall prey, but I mean, Indra's story is different, but then Brahma and Shiva, they're like pure devotees, but then they all have fallen prey to illusory energy.
Yeah,
So yeah, so is it because it's just the yoga Maya doing that for our
yeah. With Lord Shiva, it's definitely Yoga Maya
okay.
and Lord Brahma. They're pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of God. And Indra is not a pure devotee, at least in that particular story. He wasn't a pure devotee. He is a Sakama devotee.
Mhm.
Uh, Sakama means the demigods are generally devotees with some material desires. So we are interested in becoming, hopefully, we're interested in becoming Nishkam devotees. Nishkam means devotee with only the desire to please Radha and Krishna. That's really what we're interested in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, good question. Thank you, Jai Radhika.
Mhm.
This thing is not working. Oh, yeah, it's working now. Anyway, I got to reload some of these programs when we're finished in the computer because the computer is actually having a nervous breakdown right now. So who else has a question before my computer throws a fit?
Gurudev, could I ask a question, please?
Yeah, Gurumai, it's good to see you from the
Good to see you.
UK. One of the
Guru, I was
yeah.
wondering what's a good way of explaining the importance of service to someone new to the bhakti process?
Ah. Well, first of all, it's our identity. Our eternal identity is servants. And so by acting in terms of the identity, one actually learns what it means to be a servant. Jivera Swarupohoy Nitya Krishnadas Gopi Bharta Parakamala Dasa Dasanu Dasa. Because this is our real constitutional position. And we have a choice. Another thing you can explain to people is that you have a choice. You're always serving. This is the thing in Prabhupada. This is one way Prabhupada explained it. You're always serving, but right now you're serving the senses, your ears, your nose, and other senses, which I'm not going to point out right now. But you're a servant of your scent and your tongue. So you have a choice. I mean, do you want to be tongue das? But you're not, by nature, you're a servant. There's no way you can get out or avoid that particular nature. It's impossible. It's impossible. So better you serve Krishna, and when you serve Krishna, then you get spiritual advancement, you get happiness, because that's your constitutional nature. Another way that you can explain is that a fish's constitutional nature is in the water. When the fish is outside the water, the fish won't be happy. When the fish goes into the water, the fish will be happy. These are simple things or ways that Prabhupada explained it. That when we're actually in our constitutional position, properly expressed, then we can experience real satisfaction and happiness. So I hope that explains that. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Gurudev.
Must be midnight or 11 o'clock in the UK.
Yeah, just 11 o'clock.
Yeah, early. It's early. The night's young. Yeah. So okay, I think we're gonna end now, and we'll see everybody tomorrow evening or tomorrow morning or tomorrow midnight, the same time, same station. And I'll try to reload this program on the computer so it's not so glitchy anymore. Okay, thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If it works to get me offline. Yeah.